Hello, everyone, and welcome to my primer on World Without Mind, The Existential Threat of Big Tech by Franklin Foer. This is Franklin Foer. I hope I'm saying his name right. He had previously worked for Microsoft, and he says what sets Microsoft apart from the other big tech companies is that Microsoft made the mistake of actually producing editorial content. For instance, Foer himself wrote for a small magazine called The New Republic that was focused around politics and literature. Microsoft made the decision of hiring in Chris Hughes, which was the former roommate of Mark Zuckerberg. Hughes appointed Foer to edit The New Republic, to which he described as impossibly high expectations. Foer gets fired by Chris after 2.5 years of working for him in what he describes as a failure to understand the journalistic world. He says that I hope this book doesn't come across as fueled by anger, but I don't want to deny my anger either, which really sets the tone for how Foer is going to describe the monopolies of the big tech companies that he's going to be describing in the first half of the book. So the first half of the book is called The Monopolist's Mind, and he starts off by talking about a guy named Stuart Brand, who was the publisher of the Whole Earth Catalog, a writing that pointed readers towards the technological tools available at the time. He believed that technology had created the ills of the world, and only technology could solve them. He studied Marshall McLuhan and wrote about the importance of looking at systems and networks. He said that technology was a tool for personal liberation and communal connection. Some specific similarities between Brand and McLuhan is they both engaged in culture, claimed to make no moral judgment about the impending future. However, they both still showed signs of euphoria in their writings. They believed that technology could work together in a network, and that it could heal the world, and that technology ultimately is what mattered. In the first half of the book, Foer talks about 3 major tech companies, the first being Google. He described it as more than just the search engine, but the backbone of the internet. The co-founder of Google was Larry Page, who was the son of Carl Page Sr., who was described as a bundle of magical enthusiasms. He worked at MSU and even theorized the idea of hyperlinks before the internet even existed. Carl Page pursued the science of building machines that could simulate human thought. This was artificial intelligence, the building of a mechanical machine to imitate an organic one. Sherry Turkle actually studied him and concluded that artificial intelligence was an ideology, like a programmable mind, a new way of understanding everything. So Carl's son Larry Page went on to found Google. Foer describes it as the most successful, most ambitious AI company in history. Although we don't see Google as artificially intelligent, but it uses algorithms to think like us, and it's unhindered by human bias. Think of the way that you would type in your question into the Google search bar, and it predicts your question as you type it. Although there's a lot of important people in the book, I chose to highlight these 2 in particular. Alan Turing believed that the computer wasn't a machine, but a child capable of learning. He hoped that they would eventually compete with men on all intellectual fields, and predicted that within 50 years, machine would be able to fool man. Ray Kurzweil believed that artificial intelligence would create a heaven on earth. This was called the singularity, which was when artificial intelligence became all-powerful and when computers are capable of designing and building other computers. He believed this time would be 2045. And a little bit more on the singularity. He believed that it would free the mind from the prison of the body. He believed that we would live lives of leisure, that pain would disappear, as would death. Technology would solve the basic condition of scarcity, and anyone resisting this evolution would eventually die out. So the next major tech company that Foer talks about is Facebook, and he believed that it nudges the users in the direction that deems best for them, which also happens to be the direction that thoroughly addicts them. Facebook holds this notion of radical transparency, which is the theory that holds the sunshine of sharing our intimate details will disinfect the moral mess of our lives. So Facebook's power comes from its algorithms, and our author believes that it's just an automated way of thinking used to remove difficult decisions from the hands of humans to settle contentious debates. Algorithms are designed by assigning a core concept numerical value, creating a calculus of thought. Therefore, in the problem rational times animal equals man, the word rational might be assigned the number 2, animal the number 3, and therefore 2 times 3 equals 6, which is the number that represents man. So these algorithms read up to 100,000 signals in order to make a single decision for us. With over 60 million lines of code, our author says that at this point, we don't even know the machine that we built. and only 60% of Facebook users know that it uses these algorithms. And it's because of these algorithms that Facebook now shapes the way that people view their world. It's constantly adapting to you and the news that you're exposed to, promoting only certain content and how the content is presented to you. Therefore, Foyer ultimately believes that Facebook is using its algorithms to take away people's freedom to choose. He says Facebook will never put it this way, but algorithms are meant to erode free will, to relieve humans of the burden of choosing, and to nudge them in the right direction. So the last big tech company that Foyer talks about is Amazon, and he focuses primarily on its publishing side. He says that Amazon wants its readers to be addicted to its devices and site, so that Amazon becomes a central fixture in their lives and an epicenter of leisure and consumption. So Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, uprooted the way that big houses in New York used to control the creativity in the publishing industry. Foyer says that Amazon disrupted the hell out of that, and anyone with a novel and a desk could publish directly to Amazon. So the bestseller list became a lot more diverse. However, Amazon still uses algorithms to promote what's on its homepages, and has the power to bring books to the public's attention and deny knowledge to an audience. What made Amazon so unique is that it didn't want to own whole industries, but wanted to control them. It became publishing's primary outlet, but also its primary competition. It's because Amazon finds an audience by pricing books very low or for free in order to compete with established authors. Amazon's preferred method is the sale of cheap goods, with profit reaped through high volume. Amazon was currently publishing The New Republic, the magazine that Foyer had spent most of his career around and was currently editing for. He decided to write an essay titled Amazon Must Be Stopped, and it was then that Amazon ultimately ceased the campaign that ran The New Republic. This angered his boss, Chris Hughes, and might have been a career-ending mistake for him. He said that he had significantly underestimated the power of Jeff Bezos.